We're going to go to Joe Biden, who apparently wants a ceasefire. And he said that he is negotiating a ceasefire in the most statesman-like fashion possible. Let's take a look at Joe Biden's big announcement that he hopes to have a ceasefire negotiated soon.
Can you give us a sense of when you think that ceasefire will start?
I hope.
About to lick the ice cream. Yeah, it's a good thing he's losing it because that's what gave the reporter time to get the question in before he gets the ice cream into his mouth. Look at how long it takes.
No. You know, the best thing to do with your doddering, senile president is to have him in front of the cameras gumming an ice cream cone.
Gumming an ice cream cone. Yeah, exactly.
that completely diffuses the idea that this is like an old man in a nursing home playing president.
Yeah, exactly. And look, he has his aide there really chowing down. Delicious. Yeah. All right, here we go.
A sense of when you think that ceasefire will start, sir?
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire.
Okay, thank you.
By next Monday. There was a great meme that I should have bookmarked because I saw it and I lost it and I didn't bookmark it, but it's the cartoon of Joe Biden licking an ice cream cone saying, "One more week of genocide, Jack." And I should have bookmarked it. I thought it would be everywhere because it was such a great meme, so I thought I'll find it again, but no, I should have. But let's see what Benjamin Netanyahu's response to that very stern and statesman-like comment from Joe Biden was. With or without a ceasefire, Netanyahu says Israeli operation in Rafah will happen. Oh, great. From NPR. U.S. officials are signaling progress on negotiations around a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, with White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan saying the outlines of a deal have come into shape. Speaking Sunday on CNN's State of the Union, Sullivan said that representatives from Israel, the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, who met in Paris last week, had come to, quote, an understanding among the four of them about what the basic contours of a hostage deal for temporary ceasefire would look like. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was more circumspect in an interview with Face the Nation on CBS, saying it remains unclear if a new ceasefire deal can be reached with Hamas that would bring the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. He added that Hamas needed to come down to a reasonable situation, but did not offer any details on the areas of disagreement. Later in the article, in a Saturday post on X, formerly known as Twitter, Netanyahu said he's also meeting with his cabinet this week to, quote, approve the operational plans for action in Rafah, including the evacuation of the civilian population from there. Rafah, on the southern tip of Gaza Strip, is where over 1 million displaced Palestinians have been sheltering for weeks. Only a combination of military pressure and firm negotiations will lead to the release of our hostages, the elimination of Hamas, and the achievement of all the war's objectives, Netanyahu wrote. He told CBS that a military operation in Rafah is inevitable and aimed at taking out the remaining Hamas battalions that he says are still there. So let's go to Benjamin Netanyahu on Face the Nation, saying we'll either attack Rafah before the ceasefire, if the ceasefire cannot be negotiated, or if it is negotiated, it'll be temporary, and we'll hit Rafah after.
On the issue of the hostages, as you know, time is of the essence here. So if this deal happens and there are 6 weeks of calm that go with it, does that provide an opening to end this war, or will you still go into southern Gaza, into Rafah, regardless?
Yeah, well, victory is within reach, and you can't have victory until you eliminate Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization that... once we begin the Rafah operation, the intense phase of the fighting is weeks away from completion. Not months, weeks away from completion. And that is, we've already destroyed 18 out of the 24 Hamas terrorist battalions. So we have and 4 of them are concentrated in Rafah. We can't leave the last Hamas stronghold without taking care of it. Obviously, we have to do it. But understand, too, that I've asked the army to submit to me a double plan. First, to evacuate, to enable the evacuation of the Palestinian civilians in Gaza, and obviously, second, to destroy the remaining Hamas battalions. That gets us a real distance towards the completion of our victory. And that we're not going to give it up. If we have a deal, it'll be delayed somewhat, but it'll happen. If we don't have a deal, we'll do it anyway. It has to be done because total victory is our goal, and total victory is within reach, not months away, weeks away, once we begin the operation.
Okay, so if I can just translate what he means, we are going to flatten Gaza and make it unlivable, whether we have to wait 6 weeks for a temporary ceasefire or not. Because the real goal is to flatten Gaza and make it unlivable and to evacuate the civilians. Evacuate them where? He said in a previous TV interview, well, there's space to the north. We've already, quote, cleared those spaces out. Cleared those spaces out, meaning bombed them to the point where there's nothing there. So he knows that's not viable, right? I mean, there's no bombs dropping there anymore, but there's no civilization there anymore. There's nothing there. The health centers have been bombed. The universities have been bombed. A great number of the mosques have been bombed. The vast majority of residential buildings have been bombed. And so when he talks about evacuating the citizens and then completing the mission, what he means is getting the people out, leveling it so that they could claim it for themselves once the civilians have a place to go. This is what Russell said weeks ago. He said the end game here is to create a situation where Gaza is unlivable that will create a moral crisis where other nations will feel a responsibility to take refugees in. Israel can go in, plant their flag in the ground, and it's theirs. That's so clearly what he wants to do. That's why he says the end is in reach, and we're not going to stop until we accomplish that. So what that means, folks, is that there is no ceasefire deal that can be permanent until Israel achieves total victory, and total victory means the total devastation of Gaza. So no talk of a ceasefire means anything, because even the ceasefire that is apparently on the table from, you know, the fucking ice cream man there is only a 6-week ceasefire.
Okay, and this is why any talk of a two-state solution is fucking nonsense. It's nonsense. Israel has been playing this game with the world for 75 years. You can go back to 1948 internal memos saying, no, let's not engage with the United Nations. Let's just wait them out. For 75 years, their plan, and it's been a very long-term plan, has been to gradually squeeze and wring the Palestinians out of the area until finally all of the land is theirs. And this has been a tremendous opportunity. Some might say it's kind of strange that Israel, the famously efficient Israeli intelligence services, didn't know anything about this attack happening. Some might say they wanted it to happen, but we all know that the IDF and Mossad are safe and effective, so that couldn't possibly have been the case. But now Netanyahu has the pretext, one might say once in a generation pretext, to accelerate what one might call a final solution to the Palestinian problem. And then they only have the West Bank to worry about, where they continue to murder people and build their illegal settlements. And they'll just continue. This is their plan. They'll just continue to do that there until maybe they get a good enough pretext to get rid of the rest of the Palestinians there. That's the plan. From the river to the sea, they want it all to be Israel.
Please clap.